It is so hot today. Like I cannot wait for autumn. I know a lot of people love the summer, but personally it's not my favorite. So today we're going to continue with part 2 of this series that I started like ages ago. I feel confident when I speak English and I love speaking it. But there was a time in my life, and for a really long time actually, that my output was not very good. So my speaking and my writing were not the best. And I just want to share this part of me with you because it's just the kind of thing that I wish I had seen. In the past, no one really told me, look, I'm fluent now and I love this. But there was a time in my life where I actually really struggled and no one was so honest with me. And it's just something that I really needed. And so I just want to do that for my younger self and also for anyone who is watching me right now. For context, I've been writing in English for a really long time now. My first diary, which is this one, I started in 2016, so it's been ages. But the good thing is that, when you document the journey, it's so cool. You see the progress, and it's just so endearing to see your younger self. The last thing is important. Yesterday was the birthday of, and I congratulated him. You think that I did good? He answers, Muchas gracias, de verdad, Paula. I wouldn't say congratulated him. That sounds more of something that I would say to someone that maybe accomplished something, but not when it's your birthday, because that's not something you accomplish. It's something that just happens because you are born. For these two mistakes, I want to say that they are quite different because one mistake, so think and think, this is something that probably I was aware of. So I knew that there was something with a G and something with a K. And I probably knew, but sometimes you are aware of something, but when it comes to the output, it's very common that you make the mistake. So if you keep making a mistake that you actually know it's wrong, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need more input and you just need to work on that. It's just something that takes time. And I can tell you because I've experienced this with so many grammar aspects of the English language, and it just takes time. And for the other mistake, that's different because that's something that I was not aware of. So I didn't know there was a difference in meaning between saying happy birthday and congratulations. Because for me, for my Spanish brain, that's the same. And so that's something that I was not aware of. And the last thing is about I love Marley. Marley is such a good series. You have to watch it. I don't know if it's been translated, but maybe you can find it with subtitles. I taught Catalan for a little while. I would always recommend this to my students. So if you're learning Catalan, you have to watch this series. It's so good. And if you're into philosophy, watch it. Like, just find it with subtitles or just learn Catalan. Honestly, it's so 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 good. Another day I will explain you what is it about. So explain to you. The inversion of the questions used to drive me crazy. And I'm actually going to make a specific video about this because it's such an interesting topic and it's something that for Spanish speakers it's very confusing. It would confuse me so much and I would just do inversion when I didn't have to do inversion, and then when I actually needed to do inversion I would not do it, and it was just so bad for me. It was bad for my mental health. So this is something I used to hate about the English language. I actually love this, like diary and three exclamation marks. Like, I love the excitement. As I said in part one, I would use Google Translate so often and I would just type in Spanish and then I would write whatever the translator said into my diary. And a lot of teachers don't recommend this, but personally, this is something that helped me because my output was not very good because I didn't have very good input. Like at the time, my input was not very like meaningful, let's say. And so by doing that, I actually got more input, because I would read whatever I wrote. Ideally, you would want to produce your own output, but because my output was so limited, I would just use Google Translate. And I remember I would get so excited because the more I did it, I realized that there were certain constructions and some vocabulary that I would recognize because it would come up again and again. And I would get so excited just by seeing the translation and being like, oh, I've seen this before, I actually recognize this. So time since the last time I wrote you. I hope you haven't missed me too much. I have to explain to you a lot of things, but unfortunately, I have enough time. So I don't have enough time because I have to study. This week, I have 3 exams and 1 presentation. It's not as much as other times, but I am really stressed. So I'm going to explain my tomorrow exam. I'm going to explain my tomorrow exam, like how cute is that? This doesn't sound very good to me right now, but I would just say tomorrow's exam or just like the exam I've got tomorrow. But like, how hilarious is this? I was just writing my diary and I was talking about my exam, like the actual contents. It's from the taller de lengua. This subject is to improve my Spanish and Catalan. In that exam comes up el cuento. I have to study the definition of it, which is narraciones breves que cuentan hechos ficticios. Like, it's just hilarious. But what I love about this is that I say comes up, like I use this phrasal verb. And phrasal verbs is something that I used to struggle with so much. For Spanish speakers, phrasal verbs are so confusing. Now I like phrasal verbs, like they're actually good friends. I really like them and I love using them and I love hearing natives using them and like hearing them in new situations. But I used to hate them so much. Hi, diary. I haven't written you for a long time. And believe me, I needed to write you. But I hadn't time. So I didn't have the time. Bachillerat is a hard course. Now I am in the first year and I'm quite stressed. I have some friends that have left it, so imagine how difficult it is. But actually, I'm getting good marks. Left it. This is okay. It's fine. You can say leave school, leave university, like you just stop going. But because we love phrasal verbs here, I also want to mention that in this context, we could also say to drop out. So it's very common to hear, for example, she dropped out of university. So this phrasal verb is widely used and you're going to hear it like so much. Personally, I feel like English speakers use phrasal verbs all the time. Like, it's crazy. Dear diary, I need to write you for 2 things. The first is that tomorrow I have an English exam, and being seriously, I haven't studied enough. I think I'm studying now and I think I'll pass. But to me, pass the exam isn't enough. I have to get good marks, above all in English. So I've mentioned this before, but I really got into learning English when I was about 16. And so from the age of 16 to the age of 18, I got so obsessed with improving my English that I really made a lot of progress. Like I learned so much, and that's why then I was ready to go to uni and do English at university. But before that, like before the age of 16, my English was non-existent. Like it was not fluent. My vocabulary was very simple. I would just know a few words that I learned in class. But from the age of 16 to 18, I was so determined that I wanted to improve my English. I went above and beyond to just learn, and I would spend so many hours. And a lot of the times I had no idea what I was doing. But what I wanted to say is that when I was about 17, I was getting good marks in school. I was a good student. But in English, I was actually getting very low marks. And it was so frustrating because I was so determined to improving my English. And then I didn't really know what I was doing because I didn't really have a guide. I mean, I had tutors who would help me, but I didn't have like a guide, someone who would just tell me that everything is going to be okay, that you are doing well. And, just having that reassurance, which is something that personally I needed. I know a lot of people don't need it, and that's okay, but personally, I was not very confident and I had a lot of insecurities. So I just really needed that. And the last one we're going to have a look at today is this one. I've learned a new English expression. You can always lean on me. So I would do this a lot as well. I would just learn some new vocabulary and I would write it in my diary. I also have loads of sticky notes, like loads, because what I would also do is that I would have these sticky notes all over my room, okay? And then when I felt like there were too many, I would put them in my diary. And then I would also just randomly tell my diary, look, today I learned this new expression. So, really, my diary was just a place where I practiced my English and I just talked about what was going on in my life. I talked about my feelings. I shared some expressions I was learning. And now I'm just so happy that I got to where I am now. And I did it because I worked really hard. No one gave me this. I come from a very humble family. I didn't live abroad. Like, I did live abroad working as an au pair, but I didn't move abroad for like a year with my school, which is something that is quite common. I obviously didn't go to an international school, and I'm just a very normal person. If I did it, you can also do it. Like, a lot of people say that, I can't do it, but really, you just need the motivation. Like, if you have the motivation, the attitude, if you've got the right attitude, that's the most important thing. Attitude is the most important thing. And then, having someone to guide you is great, but attitude is so, so important. And something I kind of wish I did is filming myself speaking the language, because it feels so different. Like, seeing a text and seeing yourself speaking, it feels so different. And I just think about how much I would love to have a video of my past self just speaking very broken English. Like, I would love that because I would find it so endearing. I would find it so cute. So I really encourage you to do that. So if you don't want to film yourself, that's okay. But at least keep a diary, just practice writing. And especially if you're not practicing speaking, at least do some sort of writing, because you really need to have some output. You need to produce output. When you start speaking and writing is so challenging, like in the beginning, because you're so used to expressing yourself with so much nuance in your first language that when you start writing, speaking in a second language, it's a very humbling experience, let's put it that way. But you just need to go through that. And trust me, you're going to learn so much, like so, so, so much. And you will look back one day and you'll be like, that was such a good idea. I'm so happy I did that. If you've got till the end, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you'd like to see part 3, and I'll see you in the next video.